Monica Ortega, welcome to the Post-Pandemic Pivot Summit. It's such a great honor to have you with us. Let me make a little brief introduction. Your bio is so extensive that I'm just going to highlight a few things so we can get into our conversation. But you are the ultimate Renaissance woman. You're a podcaster, you're an actress, you're a speaker, you're the creator of the travel show Monica Goes. You're a best-selling author of the book How the Power of Pivot and How to Embrace Change to Create the Life You Love. So much to talk to you about. And you are in the prime of your life. So this is I have so many questions for you. So
Aw,
welcome
thank
to
you
the
so much.
show. And as you know, the audience for this summit are people who had pivoted into entrepreneurship as a result of the pandemic, and either are just trying to build, their business as they go, or they feeling a little bit stuck, still navigating through this once in a lifetime, hopefully, experience that we are all facing, share experience across the world. But in your case, unlike many of us, you, typical of Monica, you went after another dream, another goal of yours, and created a best-selling book that reflects your story. So tell us a little bit about how, like, obviously you had the story within you, but how did you motivate yourself to say, this is the time that I'm going to tell my story?
Yeah, well, thank you for having me. It's been a wild journey because my entire life is pretty much based around entertainment. That's my background. As I mentioned, I started the travel show almost 7 years ago now. And then 2020 happened. So, of course, everything comes to a halt: acting, speaking gigs, travel. And I didn't plan on writing a book. It was never something that was really on my list. But I think because I'm the type of person who's made a career out of facing fears and also, breaking out of my comfort zone, trying all these new things, I've pivoted so much in my own career and personal life that when I saw all this fear kind of happening in the world and people feeling very lost and not knowing their next move, I thought, well, maybe some of the lessons that I've been through and some of the tools that I've put in place for myself can help people. And so I sat down, and 3 weeks later, I had a book. And I thought, okay, I guess I have to do something with this now. So it was very unexpected, unplanned, but it's been the coolest experience, I think, because of that reason as well. I didn't really overthink it because it wasn't something that was always on my mind.
It is so interesting because it did take you 3 weeks to do it, but the gift that you have shared with the rest of the world is the ability to get to know you. It's so strange, right? Because now we all these strange people, we all feel like we know you. We can relate to you. It's so strange to have your life there, but you actually accomplished a very powerful goal through that process because you have helped us see ourselves in you. If you could do it, we can do it too. And I think that's a very powerful message. It is interesting that you mentioned how you're like afraid of everything. Um, but yet here you are, reinventing yourself over and over and over again and
Yeah,
feeding success.
yeah, it's been weird. I mean, I just grew up very anxious. I'm a very type A person. And so I wanted to plan absolutely everything. And as we all know, that never really works out the way you want it to. And so I think I realized pretty quickly on in life that if things are going to not work out always according to plan, I need to learn how to adapt. And it's
Mhm.
not something that comes natural to me. So it's something that it's like a muscle. I've had to work on it and practice it over and over and over again. And, with everything that's happened with the pandemic and everything like that, I'm just in a fortunate place where those muscles I've been building up for so long just to survive for my own sanity. And so that's kind of my goal, is to help other people now who've maybe never had to use those muscles get used to it and realize that change doesn't have, I mean, it's scary, but it can be really, really good if you can lean into it and start to flip that mindset a little bit too.
Well, what is interesting too is that we can experience change, but not land where we want to land, right?
Mhm.
That a
Oh,
lot of
absolutely.
times that happens. But you are suggesting that you provide a series of really in-depth exercises, and you take us in this journey where you help us really see a picture where we can truly build a life that we love. And I think that's what is very interesting about you. It is not that, fear is a natural emotion that we all
Yeah.
have. It's the way you personally deal with fear that is so enticing, because you have not allowed fear to paralyze you. It actually has seems to be the fuel that has moved you through so many stages in your life. Is that
I
true?
think,
Or
well, I think the fear isn't the fuel. It's the feeling after doing it anyway that's the
huh?
fuel. I love that. I like the fear is still awful for me. I always say I never overcome my fear. I've just learned it's not going to hold me back.
Mhm,
Because anytime you feel a fear, it's asking yourself, is this actually serving me? Is it getting me to the
mhm,
place I want to go or is it not? In life, in the outdoor adventures in my case. But if it's holding you back, giving into that fear, it's worth testing out. And so for me, every time I've kind of towed that line a little bit, I've realized really quickly either this isn't for me, okay, towed it too far, that's fine, change direction, or you learn a lot of life lessons, you build up this confidence, there's an energy at the end of it. I always say when you're facing a fear, you're forced to be fully present. You can't
mhm,
worry about what's to come or think about your past mistakes. You have to be fully present. And so I like that feeling. I like that
mhm.
it pulls me out of my head and that at the end of it, it's just, it's that life drug, right? It's that amazing feeling knowing that you can handle the things that come your way that translate into life.
It makes me think a little bit. Um, it's just hard to imagine that you have ever feel stuck or had been
All the
stopped.
time.
It's just like feels like your life has like you have worked for it, of course, but it has followed a really nice pattern of growth and you know.
Well, I think for me, I always thought I had to check the boxes. And so I thought, you go to college, you get married, you get babies, you check all the boxes. And I was kind of just floating through life and pretty numb to a lot of it and just waiting for things to happen to me, waiting to get the
Mm,
call for the movie part or whatever it is. And I always say this is a very weird way to put it, but I'm very fortunate that I ended up in a very bad marriage because it's like I went into survival mode. And when that fell apart, that was the moment that I said, okay, I'm going to be fully present. What do I actually want out of life? And how do I go after it? And I started asking those big questions that now I'm trying to help people kind of hopefully figure out before your life blows up. But no, things didn't go according to plan, and my life completely imploded. And I think at that moment, I said, okay, I get a second chance, and I'm going to do it different this time. And every day since then, I have to say, like, I'm awake for it. And the good, the bad, the ugly, all of it, which I'll take any day over feeling numb, which is kind of how I felt before. So that's also why I'm really passionate about helping people create that life that they love, because you can go after it and things may not always go the right way, but at least you're choosing the path you want and you feel like you have some sort of direction. And I joke about my vision boards, they've changed a million times, and every time I find myself in that pivot, it's like, okay, let's make a new plan, but starting to look forward to the new plan instead of holding on to the things that fell apart.
that is incredible. That's actually really powerful because I think, in this moment in time, it has been a year and a half. And things you could say, some things are improving, some things are not improving, whatever your experience might be. But uh, so many people are holding on to fear, yet it's also a moment of awakening, right? Just as you
Yeah.
say, like for the first time in such a long time, the world literally stopped. And
Mhm.
for many of us, it gave us an opportunity to reevaluate what's important for us. Um, but, you know, we are in that process of defining my family is important or my trips are important, whatever it is that we love to do. And by the way, my husband and I absolutely love your show because we plan so many of our trips around you. So it is to your point of being aware about what is important to us. For us personally, it's travel, it's being with family. And for many people, it's also stop living the life that they were living until this pandemic and build a new life. And that may take the shape of starting a business, starting a new family, moving to a new city. There's people quitting their jobs like by the thousands,
Yeah.
because life is short, and all of a sudden we are aware that we must do what we want to do, to live this life that we love. But you offer, um, and we, all of us jump into it, and then hopefully we'll figure it out, and things will be okay. What is great about the path that you're in right now is exactly what you say, your desire to help others and your ability to help others. So in the book, you offer a tremendous amount of exercises and ideas, and I wonder if we could try one exercise that could help people um, start claiming their space, if you will, and face that fear, whatever that fear might be, and start thinking about how do you become present? How do you start taking the steps to move forward?
Oh my gosh, just one. That's so hard.
Well, we can do as many as you want.
I guess the biggest one I think is to work on the mindset portion first, because I do have exercises on how to figure out your purpose and how to make a plan of action. But I think if you don't deal with the mindset of the fears and the barriers before you jump into that, you're setting yourself up for a harder road. So what I tell people is to build out a list of accomplishments or write a letter to yourself or something to build yourself up of everything that you've done in your past. It can be little, it can be big, it can be I moved out of my hometown, I went to dinner by myself, I paid off that credit card, whatever it is, write down everything you've ever done, every fear you've ever broken through, and have that on hand so that, especially as entrepreneurs, we know we have those days of what in the world am I doing and how am I going to get to tomorrow, right? So having that list of things that you've accomplished to fall back on can help you go, I've done it before, I will figure it out and I will do it again. I think that that can be the first big barrier to just keep pushing forward.
um, exactly. It is so interesting. It is. We often focus in the negative, right? It's a lot easier to think about like all these things that are wrong. It's such an interesting exercise. I was just thinking through my head as you were speaking. You could come up quickly with even a short list of things that are good in your life, of accomplishments that you have. Uh, and I was thinking, oh my God, I should like post somewhere some posting notes to remind me for those many days when you are just like, oh my, how am I going to get through this day?
Yeah.
That is so powerful. Monica, you nowadays are actually going further than your book has had such an impact across the world, that now you're now creating a bigger platform for people to get the guidance and the help that we can all use. So tell us a little bit about the masterminds that you're doing, the trainings that you're doing. I think they're just so awesome.
Thank you. Yeah, it was wild because, like I said, so I didn't expect the book. And then I'd already had this podcast about entrepreneurship and my travel show. And so I actually hired a coach and I said, I need to make all these pieces fit. And, I've got one about business, one about travel, and one about mindset. And so we came up with, I did a mastermind, and now I work one-on-one with entrepreneurs and with people coaching on that mindset, and then also creating that plan of action. I was a social media and brand manager, so it's really fun for me to help them dive into their business and also the mindset piece. And then we had the big aha idea of retreats, because
Mhm.
this is my absolute passion, is watching people face their fears and inspiring them to do it. So at the retreat, we basically do everything for the mastermind in 4 days. We have these
Wow.
sessions in the morning, we meditate, we go over the facing fears, and then in the afternoons, we're doing the actual adventures. So we're rappelling, we're whitewater rafting, we're horseback riding, whatever it may be. They're beginner adventures, but they're for those people that maybe want to push out and try it with an amazing group of people. And we just had our first one in Colorado, and it was incredible. Like, if I thought facing my own fears was rewarding, watching these other women do it was like the greatest experience. So I just want to do that forever.
I mean, I think we all want to do that forever. Imagine, like, I can only imagine going through that process of almost like a rebirth,
Yeah.
and then going home knowing that you're connected to a larger community of people that perhaps you just met, but now you're bonded together forever.
Oh, for sure. Yeah.
So, Monica, how can people get in touch with you to participate in these awesome experiences?
Yeah. So my website is monicajortega.com. That has everything. That has the travel show, the podcast, the coaching, and then the retreats. Our next retreat is in Arizona in March of 2022. And there will be more after that. And then the show is on YouTube at Monica Goes Show. And that's also my social media handle is at Monica Goes Show.
We can't wait until March 22. So I wonder if while we wait for that awesome retreat to happen, I wonder if you could give us 3 things that we can start doing today to get us into the pathway to growth.
Yes, I love it. So one of the things that I like to tell people is you can have fear and excitement at the same time for your next pivot in life. But I think it's really important to start figuring out the things you want to look forward to, and it can help take some of that fear away and make it a really exciting opportunity. So the first 3 steps of my exercise is to sit down and do this exercise where you picture your dream life. From the moment you wake up, all the 5 senses, what are you looking at, smelling, go through your work day, go through your night. Obviously, I get more in depth with people. But once you do that, journal it out so that you have all of the things right there, and then to put it on a vision board. And even if you don't believe in the power of them, even though there's a lot of power and they're incredible, if nothing else, having that visual representation of the things that you saw in your dream scenario can give you some positive perspective on the things that are to come and help you get through that fear aspect.
Helps you prepare, like, yes, you're prepared to welcome whatever is coming to you
And get
rather
you
than just
excited.
yeah. I mean, I'm already like, I'm so glad that this is a tape because I want to like write down all the stuff that you're saying and do it tonight. This is super awesome. We are so grateful that you were able to join us today and give us such jewels to immediately apply to our lives. So I know we're going to be following up with you, and I know we are all anxious to be able to secure a seat in your next retreat in Arizona, nonetheless. Super exciting.
Awesome.
Thank you so much, Monica, for your time today and for your guidance.
Yes, thank you for having me.